Let's come back to some absolutely domestic issues now. And I want to show these stunning pictures from the Weekend Australian taken at Uluru. We all know that at the end of this month, supposedly, the climbing of Ayers Rock, as it used to be known, or Uluru, will finish. The local Indigenous people have had enough of it, and no one will be allowed to climb the rock. So, unsurprisingly, Gemma, a lot of people are getting over there in the school holidays and having one last crack at climbing it. I mean, I don't know. I'd love to climb Uluru, and I've spoken a number of times of how my efforts have been thwarted, but I don't think I'd want to climb it with that many people. Surely the solitude should be part of the experience.
That does not look appealing at all. Tremendous photo, though, absolutely striking pic. But, yeah, I read that article with a great deal of interest. I certainly don't feel I have... let me rephrase that. I'm sort of centrist in the view about whether to climb or not to climb. I don't have a deep enough understanding of the cultural significance other than the traditional owners prefer it to not be climbed, and that I accept at face value. The other view that I have read amongst other Indigenous groups and obviously non-Indigenous people is that it belongs to all of Australia, and to prevent climbing it is divisive. I would love the opportunity to climb Uluru. Would I? Probably not, to be honest, and I certainly wouldn't be involved in that kind of circus to get in before the doors shut. I think... for me personally, Chris, it's a tough one because I'd love to experience it, and I would love to have a climb as part of some sort of cultural education program, or an education piece. Personally think it's a great shame, but also come at it from a place of respect if it is a sacred site. But then I guess the flip side of it, I was thinking as I was preparing for the show and reading the article, where do you draw the line? I mean, are there beaches in Australia that are considered to be sacred sites? Do you stop access to beaches? Do you stop access to other culturally significant places? I mean, does it necessarily follow that that's the conversation we're going to be having?
It could flow on.
I don't know, and I'm not meaning to be deliberately provocative. It just, to me, seems like a logical next step. What is next that the access would be restricted to? And I do think it's a great shame, and I do think there is a degree of merit that says it belongs to all of Australia. But that's, I'm a little torn.
Yeah, I think the point here is, Nick, this belongs to the local Indigenous people. They've been gifted, or it's been returned to them officially. It is their land. So I don't question they've got the right to ban people. I think it's disappointing because I'd like to climb it, and I went there and tried to climb it, but I wouldn't break the ban. But they've got the right to do that. But if the concern is lack of respect and people dying on the rock, which is what they've said, you would have thought there's compromises available where you could only climb the rock if you booked a tour with a local guide, and therefore it was controlled, there was respect and information involved. To me, that would be the obvious compromise.
Make some money out of it.
And they make jobs out of
that. The thing about this is, I mean, I've had a number of people come from overseas to visit Australia, relatives from Britain and others, who complain that there is nowhere where they can go and learn about Aboriginal culture or look into what's, this great civilisation that existed here, thousands and thousands of years before we arrived as European settlers. They're hungry to know about Aboriginal culture, and this is a perfect opportunity to do it.
There's plenty of good museums and centres, but that's a perfect place to get some real living personal experience.
There's a problem with the physical reality of the rock, because there's a little pond down the bottom of the rock. I've walked around it. It's full of bottles and wrappings from candy things.
Yeah, well, we don't want... No.
Because you can't put a bin up there. It's going to look ugly if you put a bin up there. There's no toilet up there, so people urinate at the top. It's physically difficult.
So control it. So control it. Do it with controlled people, and you can make sure none of that stuff happens. That'd be my solution, but we'll see what happens in the future.